Good morning, and welcome to our series, Questions and Answers. We continue today with Service, Part 2, from Sri Aurobindo. And yet, when the soul develops, it is in this swabhava and dharma of work and service that there are found some of the most necessary and beautiful elements of our greatest perfection, and the key to much of the secret of the highest spiritual evolution. For the soul powers that belong to the full development of this force in us are of the greatest importance. The power of service to others, the will to make our life a thing of work, and to use God and man to obey and follow and accept whatever great influence and needful discipline, the love which consecrates service, a love which asks for no return, but spends itself for the satisfaction of that which we love. The power to bring down this love and service into the physical field, and the desire to give our body and life, as well as our soul and mind and will, and capacity to God and man, and as a result, the power of complete self-surrender, Atma Samarpana, which transferred to the spiritual life becomes one of the greatest, most revealing keys to freedom and perfection. In these things lies the perfection of this dharma and the nobility of this swabhava. Man could not be perfect and complete if he had not this element of nature in him to raise to its divine power. All acts are included in action. Work is action, regulated towards a fixed end, and methodically and constantly done. Service is work done for the mother's purpose and under her direction. Recommendation to X not to take you away, but to let you realize the divine first, has no meaning. Must one realize the divine before one can serve him? Or is not service of the divine a step towards it? In any case, the service and the realization are both necessary for a complete yoga, and one cannot fix an unalterable rule of precedence between the two. There should be no straining after power, no ambition, no egoism of power. The power or powers that come should be considered not as one's own, but as gifts of the divine for the divine's purpose. Care should be taken that there should be no ambitious or selfish misuse, no pride or vanity, no sense of superiority, no claim or egoism of the instrument, only a simple and pure psychic instrumentation of the nature in any way in which it is fit for the service of the divine. Every artist, almost, there are rare exceptions, has got something of the public man in him, in his vital physical parts. The need of the stimulus of an audience, social applause, satisfied vanity or fame, that must go completely if he wants to be a yogi, and his art a service not of man or his own ego, but of the divine. What you write shows that you had a wrong idea of the work. The work in the ashram was not meant as a service to humanity or to a section of it called the sadhaks of the ashram. It was not meant either as an opportunity for a joyful social life and a flow of sentiments and attachments between the sadhaks, and an expression of the vital movements, a free vital interchange, whether with some or with all. The work was meant as a service to the divine and as a field for the inner opening to the divine, surrender to the divine, alone, rejection of ego, and all the ordinary vital movements, and the training in a psychic elevation, selflessness, obedience, renunciation of all mental, vital, or other self-assertion of the limited personality. If one feels human beings to be near and the divine to be far, and seeks the divine through service of and love of human beings, and not the direct service and love of the divine, then one is following a wrong principle. For that is the principle of the mental, vital, and moral, not the spiritual life. November 1933. The seeker writes, "What comes to my mind is to live in the ashram where only it is possible for me to give myself up for the service of the divine. May I have your permission for this?" Sri Aurobindo, no. It is elsewhere that you must prepare yourself, not here. You have not been asked to give yourself up to the service of the divine in any outward or physical sense, but to prepare yourself inwardly by taking all life and all work, wherever you are, as a sacrifice, an offering to the divine. That, if you are sincere in your seeking, you can do anywhere. 27th February 1931. He can come if he understands the conditions under which alone he can profit by staying here. Henceforth, a stay here can only be profitable, 1, for those who are ready for an intensive sadhana, turning their back on all attachments belonging to the ordinary human life. 2, for those who, though not ready, yet fully recognize the aim and open themselves so as to prepare for it. 3, those who, even if not capable as yet of an inner intensive sadhana, can yet dedicate themselves entirely in the way of service. I do not mean philanthropy or the service of humanity or all the rest of the things, moral or idealistic, which the mind of man substitutes for the deeper truth of works. To set up an open competition or a closed one between work and meditation is a trick of the dividing mind and belongs to the old yoga. Please remember that I have been declaring all along an integral yoga in which knowledge, bhakti, works, light of consciousness, ananda and love, will and power in works, meditation, adoration, service of the divine have all their place. Meditation is not greater than yoga of works, nor works greater than yoga by knowledge. Both are equal. I may stress one point, however, that there need not be only one way to the realization of the divine. If one does not succeed, or has not yet succeeded in reaching him, feeling him, or seeing him by the established process of meditation, or by the processes like japa, yet one may have made progress towards it by the frequent calling of bhakti in the heart, or a constantly greater enlargement of it in the consciousness, or by work for the divine and by dedication in service. You have certainly progressed in these directions, increased in devotion, and shown your capacity for service. You have also tried to get rid of obstacles in your vital nature, and so effect a purification, not without success, in several difficult directions. The path of surrender is indeed difficult. But if one perseveres in it with sincerity, there is bound to be some success, and a partial overcoming or diminution of the ego, which may help greatly a further advance upon the way. One must learn to go forward on the path of yoga, as the Gita insists, with a consciousness free from despondency, anirvina sitasa. Even if one slips, one must rectify the posture. Even if one falls, one has to rise and go undiscouraged on the divine way. The attitude must be, the divine has promised himself to me if I cleave to him always, that I will never cease to do, whatever may come. And lastly, from the Mother, Mother has given the significance service to the tree that stands above the samadhi. Its golden yellow flowers fall in late spring, covering the ground, and its branches shade pilgrims who come to pay their respects and offer themselves. I have written the book, Homage to the Service Tree, giving the history of its planting under Mother's guidance. Namaste.